For my reverse engineering assignment of a website, I chose the Quizziz website, which is a game-placed or game-based education website that anyone can sign up for. It has a wide variety of quizzes that you can create, or you can use what other people have created. So when I started reverse engineering, I decided like one of the first entities I was going to look at was a quiz itself. So I went ahead and went into my library and clicked on a quiz to kind of see some of the qualities it had. So it has obviously the title, a score, how many times it's played, a grade level, and a topic. And then it has questions with it. And those are the main things. Oh, and it has a creator. So I went ahead in my MySQL workbench and I created an entity for that and added the attributes. I gave it an ID that would be its primary key. It has to have a title. That's one of the required things, so I made that not null. I gave it 100 for the varchar. So it had enough room for a big title. And then the number of plays and the average score, sometimes it's not there when it has been first created, so I won't go ahead and left those that they could be null, as well as the image is not required. I also added a question count, and then this was later on, I added a foreign key so we could tell who was the creator or the author of the quiz. The next thing I went ahead and did was created a separate database for the questions. One really cool thing about Quizziz is that you can use questions from other quizzes and other creators in your own quiz. So it's like a huge question bank that you can just look up. So I put the questions in their own entity, gave them an ID, the question content, and then answer choices. They all have to have at least 2 answers. So I made those not null. And then gave 2 other options that could be null, as well as a spot for a question image, which again is not necessary. So I left that able to be null. Then I connected those with a many-to-many relationship. So there's a linking table to show if the quiz has a specific question from the question bank. The next thing I decided to do was go ahead and create an entity for the users because that was another big one. So I went ahead and went over to my profile on Quizziz and clicked on edit profile to see some of the attributes that were on here because it's been a while since I made my account. So we have title, first name, last name, grades that you teach, subjects that you teach, and then your organization, as well as your email and your password. You also have your library of quizzes that you have saved or created. So I went ahead and went back into my SQL and created an entity for user, gave each user a unique ID, which would be their primary key, first and last name are varchar. The title, I use the enum, the enumerated attribute data type, and put those 4 options. It was Mr., Mrs., Doctor, or Miss. And that can be null because that's not required. I also added a spot for the email and the password that are not null, so they need to be in there, as well as spots for the user organization. I gave it a little bit more characters because that will likely be longer because the organization includes the location of the organization, as well as a spot for your profile picture, which does not have to be on there, so I left that able to be null. Now that I had all of that, as I was looking at the quizzes and the users, I realized that they both had subjects and grade levels. So I created 2 separate entities for grade levels and subjects. And I went ahead and linked those both to the quizzes and to the users. So the user and the grade levels, it has the user teaches the level, so it could include whatever levels they might have. One user can have many grade levels and one grade level can have many users. So that was a many-to-many resolved with the linking table. Same thing for the subject. A user can teach many subjects. A subject can be taught by many users. So our linking table is that the user teaches a certain subject. For the quizzes, same kind of idea. A quiz could be available for many grade levels. For example, most of the ones that I created were for 1st to 3rd. And the grade level can be linked on many quizzes. So it's resolved with that linking table quiz level. Then we have the subject for the quiz as well. A quizzes can cover many subjects. Subjects could be on many quizzes, so our linking table is the quiz subject. The last couple of things I did was connected the quiz itself to the users. So you can either create a quiz or you can save a quiz. So for each quiz, it should only have one author or creator. So I used a one-to-many relationship from the user to the quiz. One user can create many quizzes, but each quiz should only have one creator, so that will be a foreign key on there. And then for the user quiz library, that was another many-to-many relationship in here. Each user can have many quizzes. Each quiz can be saved by many users. So it's resolved by this linking table down here, the user quiz library that will show the quiz ID and the user ID and show what quizzes are in each user's library. There is probably a lot more data on here than I thought of, but those are some of the basics. This is my entity relationship diagram that I created to show what some of the database might look like for the Quizziz website. And then this could very easily be reverse engineered into an actual database to manipulate by going into database and reverse engineering and following those steps. Then you can manipulate and play with that data in there. All right, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions on what I presented.